Hello and welcome to the Fantasy Six Pack 2023 Fantasy Football Wide Receiver Sleepers Preview here. I'm joined by my buddy Dylan Clemons. How are you doing today, man?
Good, Jordan. Good. How you doing?
Doing pretty good, man. Excited to talk wide receivers here, man. We got the
Yes,
fantasy
sir.
football season right around the corner. I'm a big dynasty guy, so this is kind of like just naturally where I like to build my teams is around the wide receiver position here. Kind of looking at our list, it's good. I think I got three of them that I really like, and two of them that I kind of want to push back a little bit on. But let's just jump right into it
Right
here.
on.
Make sure you guys like and subscribe. Like the video, subscribe to the Fantasy Six Pack channel here to get more videos just like this. Head on over to fantasysixpack.net/plans. Use the promo code F6PNFL for 15% off. When you do that, man, you're going to get most accurate rankers we have over there. You're going to get cheat sheets for DFS, betting. You get custom advice. Best of all, you're going to get access to the Discord channel where me, Dylan, and a bunch of other writers are in, so you can
Yep.
get advice directly tailored to your league. So one of the best bangs for your buck you can get out there. But let's not wait any longer, man. This is like my favorite position to talk about. So who is our first guy? Who is our number one sleeper here today?
Let's go, man. We got DJ Moore, and I'm a Bears fan, but it's not just total bias take here. He's going to the best quarterback he's ever played with in Justin
By
Fields, man.
far.
And he is going off the board at wide receiver 26 on underdog right now. I know that's best ball, but that's really all we got to base stuff off of. He's going later than guys like Christian Watson, Debo Samuel, Drake London, Terry McLaurin. I think I'd rather have DJ Moore over all of them guys, man.
McLaurin's about the only one I think where I pause a little bit.
Okay, yeah, I could see that. But last season was the first time since his rookie year too. He had 3 straight years over 1,100 yards, and to think about that quarterback play that he's had over the last few years: Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, PJ Walker, who is now Justin Fields' backup. It's like it's only like sky's the limit for DJ Moore in this offense. I get it; they need to throw more, and I think they will. And I'm more plugged into the Bears than I am in any other team. I listen to a bunch of stuff, listen to their beat reporters. And Jordan, the only thing we heard about all off season through OTAs was how good the chemistry was between Justin Fields and DJ Moore already. I just see him being target or just peppered in targets, which there might not be a ton of passing attempts to go around, but if he sees 120, 130 targets, man, he's going to have a good year and put up solid numbers and definitely outdo his wide receiver 26 ADP.
Yeah, I honestly I agree with you. This is one of them that I'm in on as well too. I was in on him before the trade, and so then the trade afterwards, I'm just like, yeah, sign me up for as much DJ Moore as I
Yep.
can get. It's easy to kind of try and make like the easy assumption, but like you look at what happened when Jalen Hurts got AJ Brown. You look at Josh Allen once he got Stephon Diggs. And granted, I don't think that DJ Moore is a level of receiver as those two guys are, but just having a true number one receiver on the outside is so huge for like a developing
Yep.
quarterback. I think just the extra space he's going to create, and then that it allows Darnell Mooney and Chase Claypool to kind of slide into roles that are more fit for them. They're not lead receivers; they're kind of
Exactly.
complementary Guys there. And I like Cole Kmet there too. I mean, so there's some decent options they got all around there.
Yep.
So I think that he's going to have a really big year there. I think if you have him as like your wide receiver too, you can be feeling pretty confident heading into the next year.
Definitely.
All right, so number two, another guy in a nice explosive offense. We got Gabe Davis here. So why is he a sleeper for you?
Post type sleeper here, man. Looking at his stats though, Jordan, it didn't really get me excited. Like he was seventh in drops, but just watching his games, and trust me, I watched a lot of them last year because I was all over Gabe Davis, and just watching some of his plays where he just couldn't come down with the ball in the red zone, all sorts of stuff. It was just disappointing, and it just hurt his season. He also didn't separate all too well last year, but I'm really just banking on how good this offense is and how it's going to be this year. And even with his disastrous season, he still finished as wide receiver 36 last year in fantasy points per game, which is wide receiver 3.
At
Just
like
the
age
bad part is
23.
he was going super early in drafts last year. But Jordan, now we can get him at wide receiver 40. So that's much better. If you're getting him as your wide receiver 4, your wide receiver 5, I'm totally okay with that because of the offense he's in. And he's the deep threat and the big play guy. He was 6th in average depth per target, 12th and 3rd in yards per reception, and 12th most deep targets last year. So if he comes down with a few more balls and a few more deep balls and touchdowns, he could give you some solid value, especially where you're getting him in drafts.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you just kind of like remove the name from it and then like remove like kind of you said like the emotion of people that drafted him really high last year and
Yeah.
kind of got burned, but you said, hey, there's going to be a 22/23-year-old receiver, be the number 2 option in his league, and he's going to have a top 36 fantasy season. You would have been like, hell yeah, man, sign me
Mm-hmm.
up for that. So I do think post type sleeper is a really good way to put it. I'm with you on this one. I think that he's going to have another solid year. Like, I don't know that he's going to have a huge jump like up into the top 24, but if he's like your wide receiver 3 or like your flex in the start 2 wide receiver league, I think you're doing just fine because he is going
Yep.
to have those weeks where he goes off for 25 to 30 points. And like we've seen it, like he did in the playoffs last year. Even I mean, that guy has those weeks where he can just go nuclear. And when you have
Yep.
that as your wide receiver 3 or your flex, like those are the types of guys that can win weeks for you.
Yep. And like Isaiah McKenzie and Cole Beasley are no longer there too, so maybe that opens up more targets in the offense as well. So
It just the only thing there is it just kind of depends how quickly Dalton Kincaid transitions to NFL
yeah,
games. I don't think he's a normal tight end because I don't think he's going to be asked to do a lot of normal tight end things. He's going to be more like a slot receiver. So if he's as legit as I think he's going to be right away, I could see that kind of maybe limiting the Gabe Davis ceiling. But he is still a tight end, so I think there's going to be a little bit of a slow development there. So I think that for at least this year, I think that Gabe Davis is going to outperform. What would you say he's like wide receiver 40? I think right now.
yep.
Yeah, he's going to outperform that pretty easily. And this next guy here, this is the first one where we kind of differentiate a little bit here. Who do you got for number 3 here?
I got Elijah Moore, and I'm not like pounding the table for him, but I'm digging where he's going, man. At wide receiver 44 right now.
Mm-hmm.
He's playing with the best quarterback he's ever played with. That's not a huge, he was playing with Zach Wilson and Joe Flacco and the previous quarterbacks with the Jets. He's getting Deshaun Watson, who hopefully bounces back as well. And just looking at kind of at his advanced stats, man, he was top 25 in route win rate, which is ninth, and was ninth the previous year. And then last year, he was number 12 in all wide receivers in target separation. So he was getting open last year. Just the crappy quarterback play could not find him. And then he's also number 23 in slot snaps last year, which we do like slot receivers. And like his rookie season, we saw him even catch touchdowns from the slot. I think he finished with 7 touchdowns his rookie season. So I'm totally okay where you're getting Elijah Moore in drafts, and I think he should smash his wide receiver 44 ADP. I just question how high his ceiling is, and I'm kind of assuming that's where you kind of are off of him a bit.
Yeah, I mean the ceiling. I don't know if it's going to be there. It's a combination of that. I'm a big fan of Cedric Tillman, the guy they
Okay.
drafted in the third
Okay.
round this year. I think that if you ignore last year's tape, because I want to say he broke his foot start the year, then when he came back, he was kind of battling through that. So the whole year he wasn't healthy. But you turn it back a year before that, I think his tape that year was more impressive than what Jalen Hyatt put on that next year where he won the Blitnikoff. So I think that Tillman's going to come in. He's a big bodied receiver. He's going to play a role right away. He's going to be able to do some stuff that Elijah Moore can't. And I don't know, man. Like the Jets, they weren't dysfunctional last year despite the terrible quarterback play. And so the fact that he wasn't really able to kind of fit in with not an overly talented wide receiver room and wasn't able to separate himself and stand out, like it gives me a little bit of question of maybe like what's going on kind of like between the ears there. Is he like kind of a guy that in the locker room is kind of like the opposite of like a Jamal Williams, how we talked about earlier, where everybody
That's
loved
true.
him?
Yeah.
I don't know. It was just weird for how good he was as a rookie. Like the fact that they had a better coach come in and wasn't really able to ever get him rolling. Like, I don't know. It just gives me a little bit of pause there. And then, yeah, you got Donovan Peoples-Jones there who came into his own a little bit last year.
Yep.
Although
Yep.
a lot of his production came in special teams, but Cedric Tillman, he's the guy that I think that could really kind of cut into this a little bit, could kind of maybe prevent that big breakout.
Yeah, and that's definitely fair enough because Moore was definitely in Robert Sala's doghouse last year, kind of
Yeah,
similar to what we saw with Brandon Ayuk and Kyle Shanahan a few years
yeah.
back as
Mm-hmm.
well. But
Which and then Ayuk was awesome last year, so maybe we're
yeah,
just thinking it a little bit. Yeah.
yep. Hopefully we get something similar.
All right, well, let's move on to our next guy here, and this is kind of going to be the opposite of what was a not dysfunctional franchise last year in the Houston Texans and Nico Collins. This is a sleeper for you. Why do you like Nico Collins?
Someone's got to emerge as the lead target getter in this offense, man. He's still just 24 years old, and he was one of the best contested catchers of the football last year, ranking second in the league on 15 targets, which is fantastic. And you could probably speak to more of his college tape with Michigan, man. I'm curious to hear your thoughts in a second about like what you thought of his tape coming out. But he's going as wide receiver 56 on Underdog, and he could be the number 1 receiver on his team. I know John Mechie's coming back from leukemia. You also have they drafted Tank Dell, correct?
Yeah.
In the draft.
Like,
So
yeah.
and they brought over Dalton Schultz in free agency to play tight end, which is going to take some targets as well. But I think Collins has some upside, especially with how late he's going in drafts.
Yeah, I mean, the best thing I think I'll say is like where he's going in drafts, like it gives a lot of room for upside there. You'd mentioned Tank Dell. I liked him before the draft, and then you hear that CJ Stroud after he got drafted was kind of pounding the table, telling them, over our senior
Yep.
day, we kind of connected, go get this guy, and then they did, I believe, in the third round. They brought in Robert Woods, John Mechie came in there as well too. So I don't know, like it's weird. Like there's not a lot of people on the depth chart, but there kind of is a little
Yeah.
bit. Like John Mechie is a little bit of an unknown. I believe he was a second rounder 2 years ago, or it was just last year, right? Second rounder last year.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. Like I think Robert Woods is gonna have a little bit left in the tank there. I think his type of game is gonna really benefit CJ Stroud as he's kind of developing. He's a guy that's able to work on like the short to intermediate routes a little bit better there. That being said, though, like I can see the upside with Nico Collins, as you mentioned, on the deep balls, going up getting the contested catches. Like that's not
Yeah.
something that I think Tank Dell's really going to be able to do, or Robert Woods at this point. So that is the thing that he can kind of separate himself, and he has a skill set that nobody else on the roster really matches. Even John Mechie's more of kind of that deep threat burner. So I can see it. I mean, you are just kind of betting on him, kind of the talent rising to the top there,
Yep.
because it's a weirdly, like I said, not deep group, but kind of a little bit like a lot of bodies. They're kind of like the Giants, I would say.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, let's move it over here to our last sleeper of the day. This is one that I'm fully on board with here. Who is your last sleeper you want to talk about today?
It's Deontay Johnson, man, and we're just going to keep this short and sweet. If you didn't already check out the quarterbacks sleepers, I was all about Kenny Pickett in that one, and might as well throw Deontay Johnson in here. He ran the most routes last year, or he set the record for most routes run without a touchdown last year, guys. Like positive touchdown regression is coming, and he's entirely too good for it not to. He's one of the most elite route runners in football. The Steelers offense is just going to be better in general. I'm so far in on Deontay Johnson. At one point this off season, he was actually going behind George Pickens, which I thought was blasphemy, Jordan. I don't know about yourself. Now it's correlated a little better. Pickens is going a little bit behind Johnson. Johnson's going at like wide receiver 27, which is too low in my opinion. Still, I think he needs to be going around sooner, similar to DJ Moore and stuff. But yeah, big fan of Deontay Johnson this year.
Yeah, I feel like that early ADP had to have been influenced by like the dynasty crowd, like the early drafters pushing up that George Pickens price a little bit. Because in dynasty, I could see the case for Pickens over Deontay Johnson,
Yeah.
but in a redraft league, I feel like DJ is pretty clearly the guy you want there. He's going to work the short to intermediate stuff. There's no way he's going to have 0 touchdowns. He'll probably end up more closer to that 5 to 6 touchdown range again. So yeah, he's one that I'm fully on board with. I do think the Steelers offense is going to be better than it has been in the past. George Pickens is awesome, but he doesn't do the same thing that Deontay Johnson. And
Definitely not.
He's going to be the guy that you're going to want there. Like George Pickens is a standard league guy, or like those when you throw him in like a flex and have a few deep catches a game, but he's not going to be the guy that's getting 5, 6, 7 targets a game each week.
Yep, exactly. But Jordan, before we get out of here, I want to flip the script on you a little bit. With you being the dynasty guy and the rookie guy, I want to ask you at the wide receiver position, who is your number one impact rookie at wide receiver?
So we're going to go Jordan Addison in Minnesota.
Ooh, I like it.
I think that he's going to step right in, and he's going to be a better version of what everybody wanted KJ Osborne to be the last few years.
All right.
He's going to be the guy that's probably the most crisp route runner in this class. Like JSN, like he's weird. Like he's a good route runner, but like he almost like kind of lulls you to sleep because like he's not super quick, he's not super in and out, but he just gets open. But like Addison is the opposite. Like he is a sharp, crisp route runner. He's going to be a guy that's going to be working the short, intermediate routes. Having Justin Jefferson on the opposite side of the field, I mean, that's going to give him more space than he's ever seen in his life, like going back into college even. Kirk Cousins, we know he likes to get out there and sling the ball. Realistically, this is probably his last year there, so like they have no reason not to just put it all on his shoulder and say, all right, Kirk, like it's up to you now. Like if we fail out, it's going to be on you, and we're moving on next year. So they're going to let him do as much as he can, as much as they can give him, I think. And Jordan Addison, I think that he's going to kind of come in here, probably finish somewhere in like that 900 to 1,000 yard range and get 5, 6 touchdowns. So not like going to be like your wide receiver too, but I think he's a guy that's definitely going to be flexible for you right away.
Definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. So Jordan Addison, that's my guy for year 1 right here.
I'm all about that, man. I like that a lot.
Perfect. Well, with that being said, man, like we said, make sure you guys like this video, subscribe to the channel so you get more content like this. Head on over to fantasy6pack.net/plans, become a member over there. With that being said, we'll be back next time to talk tight ends.
Yep. Thanks, Jordan.